The sky above the strange world was dark and heavy, filled with clouds that moved like living shadows. The air was thick, carrying a smell that was not from Earth, a smell of unknown plants and burning dust. The human stood there, his boots sinking slightly into the red ground, his breathing loud inside his helmet. He was alone, or so he thought. His ship had crashed only hours before, broken into pieces by a storm he could not control. Now he had nothing but his survival gear, his courage and his stubborn will to live. Every step he took made the ground tremble with strange echoes, as if the planet itself was watching him. The silence was not empty, it was alive, and he felt eyes on him. Unseen but close, then she appeared out of the mist. A shape moved with grace. A figure that seemed both human and not. The human froze, his hand moving to the weapon at his side, his heart racing faster than ever. The figure stepped forward and he saw her face. She was beautiful beyond reason, her skin glowing faintly like silver under the weak sun, her eyes deep and sharp, holding colors he had never seen. Her hair flowed like black water, her voice soft when she finally spoke. "You are far from home, human," she said, her lips curling into a smile, but it was not a smile of kindness. It was a smile that held a secret, a smile that carried danger. The human did not answer at first, his throat dry, his mind struggling to understand if she was friend or enemy. She looked harmless, yet there was something cruel in the way her eyes studied him. Like a predator playing with prey, he forced his voice out. "Who are you?" The alien beauty tilted her head as if amused by his question. "I am what you were not ready to meet," she whispered. Stepping closer, the human took a step back. His boots sliding on the red dust, every instinct screamed at him to run. But his legs refused, caught between fear and wonder. She walked around him slowly, her presence calm yet heavy. Her laughter was soft, but it cut through the silence like a knife. "You came to our world without permission. You broke the sky with your fire ship. And now you stand here weak, exposed, and alone," she said. Her words stung because they were true. The human clenched his fists, refusing to look away, refusing to show weakness, but deep inside, he wondered if she had come to save him, or to end him. The alien beauty stopped in front of him again, her eyes locking into his. "You will need help," she said, her voice sweet but her tone mocking. "I can guide you. I can show you where to step and where not to step. For this land eats the careless." Her hand pointed toward the horizon, where strange plants with glowing veins twisted like snakes. Her words carried weight, and the human knew she was right. He could not survive here alone, but the way she spoke made him feel small, as if she enjoyed watching his struggle. For a moment he imagined her as a savior, a light in this dark and dangerous place. But the next moment he saw the sharp edge in her smile, the shadow behind her beauty. It was as if she was both guardian and tormentor. Both gift and curse. The human felt trapped in her game, a game he did not understand. Still he stood tall. "If you want to help, then help. If not, leave me," he said, his voice steady. The alien beauty laughed again, this time louder, like music that carried cruelty. "Oh, human, you think you have a choice, but you do not. Not here. Not on this world," she replied. Her words chilled him, but also lit a spark of anger inside him. He would not bend. He would not give her the victory of seeing him broken. The wind rose, carrying dust and whispers through the alien air. The two figures stood facing each other, human and alien, stranger and beauty. The world around them felt like it was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The human had come face to face with the alien beauty, and though she looked like an angel, her smile promised something cruel. He did not know if she would guide him, betray him, or destroy him, but he knew one thing. His story on this world had just begun. The human followed the alien beauty across the strange red land. Each step felt heavier, not only because of the weight of his gear, but because of the silence around him. It was not the silence of peace, it was the silence of watching eyes, of hidden threats waiting to strike. The alien beauty walked ahead with graceful steps, never looking down, never slowing, as if the dangerous ground itself obeyed her. He studied the land around him carefully. The soil was cracked like old skin, glowing with faint veins of light that pulsed as if alive. Tall black plants rose from the earth, their leaves sharp as blades, dripping with a liquid that hissed when it touched the ground. Strange shapes moved between the shadows, too fast for him to see clearly, but enough to make his heart pound harder. "Stay close," the alien beauty said, her voice floating back to him. "There are things here that enjoy the taste of lost travelers." Her words were calm, almost playful. But the human felt no humor. Every sense in his body screamed at him that she was not lying. Suddenly a sound cracked through the silence. It was a hiss, long and sharp. Coming from the glowing plants, the human lifted his weapon, his finger trembling over the trigger. From the shadows a creature crawled out. Its body long like a serpent, but its head wide and filled with teeth. The alien beauty did not flinch. She only raised her hand slightly. The creature froze, its glowing eyes fixed on her with one glance. She sent it slithering back into the darkness. The human lowered his weapon slowly, his mind racing. She had not moved with force, nor with fear, only with power. It was clear this world was hers, not his, and yet she let him walk behind her like a fragile shadow. Her smile returned, cruel and beautiful. "See, human, without me you would already be gone," she whispered. Her words pierced him like a blade, but he kept walking, refusing to give her satisfaction. The path grew harder, filled with jagged rocks and glowing streams that bubbled with green fire. The air grew hotter, heavy with smoke that made his lungs ache. He stumbled once, nearly falling into the burning stream. The alien beauty caught his arm, her touch cold and smooth. But instead of pulling him to safety, she held him there, letting him feel the heat licking close to his face. Her eyes sparkled with cruel amusement. "Do you feel it, human? The world is hungry for you," she said softly. Then she pulled him back with a gentle strength. Her laughter echoing against the rocks, the human gritted his teeth. His anger boiling, he wanted to shout at her, to demand why she played these games, but something in her gaze silenced him. It was not only cruelty in her eyes, but something else, something hidden behind the mask. He could not tell if she wanted him broken or tested. Hours passed as they moved deeper into the land. The sun of this world never rose higher. Always stuck in a red twilight, shadows stretched long and strange, sometimes moving even when the wind was still. The human's legs grew heavy, but the alien beauty glided forward as if tireless. He wondered if she even needed to breathe, or if she was something far beyond flesh and bone at last. They reached a valley filled with tall spires of black stone. Each spire was carved with symbols that glowed faint blue, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. The human felt a chill, though the air was hot. The beauty's smile grew wider. "This is where many fall, human. This is where the weak are swallowed," she said. Before he could ask what she meant, the ground beneath him shifted, a crack opened, and from it rose creatures unlike any he had seen. Their bodies were twisted, half stone and half flesh, their arms long with clawed hands, their mouths filled with sharp bone. They circled him slowly, their growls low and deep. The alien beauty did not move to help. She only watched, her arms folded, her expression calm and curious. "This is your step, human. Survive or be eaten," she said, her voice clear. Her cruel joke had become real. The human lifted his weapon, sweat dripping down his face. The creatures lunged fast and savage. He fired, his shots echoing through the valley, striking one beast and sending it crashing to the ground. But two more leapt from the shadows, their claws slicing the air close to his chest. He rolled aside, the ground cutting into his arms, his body screaming with pain. Still he fought, swinging his weapon like a blade, striking bone and flesh. The air filled with the sound of battle, with growls, with gunfire. With his own ragged breaths through it all, the alien beauty only stood and watched, her eyes sharp, her lips curved in that same cruel smile. When at last the last creature fell, broken and silent, the human stood shaking, his body covered in dust and blood. He looked at her, his anger blazing. "You could have helped," he said. His voice low, she tilted her head, her smile fading only slightly. "If you cannot survive alone, human, then you do not deserve to stand," she answered. Her words burned more than the wounds on his body. The human did not reply, but in his heart a fire grew. If this world wanted to break him, it would fail. And if the alien beauty wanted him to fall, he would rise. He would not be the weak human she believed. The dangerous world had shown its teeth, but he would show his spirit. The human woke the next day with pain burning across his body. Every muscle ached, his hands shook, and his breath was heavy. But he was alive, and that was enough. The alien beauty sat on a rock nearby, her silver skin glowing faintly in the red light, her eyes watching him like a cat watching a trapped bird. She tilted her head, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. "You fight well for something so fragile," she said, her voice soft yet sharp. The human did not reply, his anger too heavy for words. He only stood, cleaned his weapon, and forced his body to move. but her laughter followed him like a shadow. As they walked deeper into the land, he noticed how the world itself seemed to obey her. Creatures hissed and retreated when she appeared. The strange, glowing plants bent slightly as if afraid of her steps. Even the air around her felt charged, alive with power, and yet, instead of using that power to protect him, she used it to mock him. At one point, they reached a wide plain of cracked earth. Strange towers of stone rose from the ground. Humming with a faint sound, the human felt uneasy, his skin crawling. The alien beauty smiled wider. "This is a place of games," she whispered. Before he could ask what she meant, the ground opened with sudden force. Out of it rose a group of tall figures, their skin made of glass-like crystal. Their movements slow but heavy, they surrounded him, their glowing eyes fixed on him like hunters who had already chosen their meal. The human gripped his weapon tightly, but the beauty raised her hand. "Wait," she said, her tone playful. She turned to the crystal beings and spoke in a language he could not understand. The creatures tilted their heads, then laughed, a sound like glass breaking. The human felt his stomach twist. They were not only looking at him, they were mocking him. And she was the one who had invited them. The alien beauty walked around him like a performer showing her prize. "This human thinks he is strong, he thinks he can survive," she said loudly. Her words sharp enough for him to feel their edge. The crystal beings laughed again, pointing at him, their glowing mouths curling into cruel smiles. The human's face burned with shame, his chest heavy with rage. He was not only fighting for survival now, he was being made into a joke. He raised his weapon, ready to prove himself, but before he could fire, the alien beauty stepped in front of him, her hand pressing lightly against his chest. "Not yet," she whispered, her eyes gleaming. "This is not a fight, human, this is a lesson." Her words cut deeper than any blade. She had brought him here not to help, but to humiliate, to expose his weakness in front of others. The crystal beings closed in, their voices rising in strange mocking chants. The human clenched his fists, his whole body shaking. He wanted to scream, to attack, to show them all that he was not weak. But the alien beauty's hand still rested on his chest. Holding him still, she leaned close, her lips near his ear. "Look at you, human, sweating, trembling, afraid. And yet you think you are special," she whispered. Her laughter rang out, and the crystal beings echoed it, their voices bouncing across the plain like broken bells. The human's pride burned hotter than his fear. He shoved her hand away and stepped forward, his voice raw. "I am not your toy," he shouted. His words echoed, but the beings only laughed louder. Even the alien beauty's eyes sparkled with cruel amusement. "You are exactly my toy," she replied, her voice smooth and sharp. "Because you cannot walk one step here without me. And you know it." Her cruel joke had reached its peak. He stood in the middle of enemies, stripped not of his weapon but of his dignity. Every laugh stabbed into him like a blade, but deep inside something else stirred. A fire, small but fierce, born from anger, born from defiance. He might be mocked, he might be exposed, but he would not stay broken with sudden force. He lifted his weapon and fired into the air. The sound cracked like thunder, silencing the mocking voices for a moment. Smoke rose, dust fell, and all eyes turned to him. His voice was strong, his words steady. "Laugh all you want, but I will not fall. Not to this world, not to you, not to anyone," he said. The crystal beings paused, their glowing eyes narrowing. Even the alien beauty stopped smiling for a heartbeat, as if surprised. Then her laughter returned, but softer this time, almost uncertain. "Bold words for something so fragile," she whispered. But in her eyes there was a flicker, small and quick. Was it doubt, or was it respect? The human could not tell. All he knew was that her cruel joke had not broken him. It had only sharpened his will. As the crystal beings faded back into the ground, the alien beauty walked beside him again. Her smile returned, but her silence was longer than before. The human did not thank her, did not ask her why she had humiliated him. He simply walked, his mind burning with thoughts, his heart burning with fire. She had exposed him, mocked him, and made him a joke. But she had also shown him something else, that even in weakness he could find strength, and that one day her cruel laughter would no longer hold power over him. The night on the alien world was colder than the human expected. The red sky darkened into black, and the glowing plants became the only light across the land. He sat near a broken piece of his ship, the metal still warm from the day's heat. His body was covered with scratches, his clothes torn, his face streaked with dust, but his eyes were steady, holding a fire that refused to die. The alien beauty stood a short distance away, watching him silently. Her silver skin caught the faint glow of the plants. Her expression unreadable. She had mocked him, humiliated him, and laughed at his weakness, yet she still remained close, as if curious, as if waiting to see what he would do next. Her cruel smile was gone, replaced by quiet interest. But the human did not speak to her. Not tonight. Instead, he focused on his survival. He gathered dry alien leaves that burned slow but gave enough heat. He shaped sharp rocks into crude blades. His hands bleeding but steady, he checked his weapon, repairing it with the few pieces he could salvage. Every action was slow and painful, yet he kept moving, because giving up was not an option. When the wind howled across the land, strange shadows moved at the edge of the firelight. Small creatures with glowing eyes circled, their teeth clicking in the dark. The alien beauty only watched, her arms crossed, making no move to help. The human tightened his grip on the crude blade, his heart pounding. He stood tall despite his fear. When one creature lunged, he swung with all his strength, striking its head and sending it crashing to the ground. The others hissed and scattered into the darkness. The fire crackled. The human stood breathing hard, his blade dripping green blood. For the first time, the alien beauty's lips parted in surprise. "You could have waited for me," she said, her voice soft. The human wiped the blood from his blade and shook his head. "If I wait for you every time, I will never stand," he replied. His words were simple, but they carried weight. The alien beauty tilted her head, her expression unreadable once more. Day after day, the human grew stronger. He learned where to step, where not to step. He learned how the glowing plants curled before releasing poison. He learned the cries of the creatures, which ones were warnings and which ones meant attack. His body grew leaner, faster, tougher, and every night he worked by the fire, shaping tools, fixing weapons, building traps. He no longer depended on her every move. The alien beauty continued to guide him at times, but her guidance became less and less. She would watch as he climbed the jagged cliffs with bleeding hands. She would watch as he hunted strange crawling beasts for food. Sometimes she would laugh when he fell, but sometimes she only watched in silence. And the human began to notice something. The cruel amusement in her eyes was fading, replaced with something else, something deeper. One day, as they crossed a valley filled with whispering winds, a massive beast appeared. It was taller than a building, with skin like stone and eyes that burned with fire. Its roar shook the ground, and the human felt his chest tighten. The alien beauty looked at him, waiting, her smile faint. This time, she did not move to stop the creature. She wanted to see what he would do. The human's legs shook, but he did not run. He dug his feet into the ground, lifted his weapon, and faced the beast. The first strike threw him into the dirt, pain exploding in his chest, but he forced himself up, blood in his mouth, rage in his eyes. He set his trap quickly, driving the creature toward the sharpened rocks he had planted earlier. The beast roared again, charging at the last second. The human rolled aside, the creature crashing into the spikes. Its body shook, its fire eyes dimmed, and it collapsed into silence. The valley was quiet again, the air filled only with the human's ragged breathing. He stood tall despite his wounds, his weapon heavy in his hands. The alien beauty stepped closer, her eyes fixed on him for the first time. Her smile was not cruel, it was small, almost hidden. "You should have been broken," she whispered. "But you are not." The human met her gaze, his voice steady though his body trembled. "You want me weak? But I will not be weak. You want me afraid, but I will not stay afraid," he said. His words hung in the air, strong and sharp. The alien beauty's eyes softened for a moment, as if something in her heart shifted, but she quickly turned away, hiding it with her calm mask. That night by the fire, the human sat with his wounds bandaged, his blade beside him. He stared at the alien sky, filled with strange stars that pulsed like living hearts. He thought of home, of Earth, of the people who had told him humanity was strong, and he understood now strength was not in power or weapons. Strength was in refusing to bow, refusing to break, even when mocked, even when exposed. The alien beauty's cruel joke had not ended him. It had made him stronger. She sat across from him, silent, her eyes studying him in the flickering light. For once she did not laugh. She did not mock. She only watched, and in her silence, there was something almost respectful. The human knew she was still dangerous, still playing her games, but he also knew one thing. The spirit inside him was growing, unshakable, unbreakable. and no cruel joke could take that away. The human walked with heavy steps, but his eyes burned with new strength. The days of pain and humiliation had changed him. He no longer stumbled blindly behind the alien beauty. Now he walked beside her, cautious but steady, and though she still carried her cruel smile, he could sense that she looked at him differently now. They entered a canyon where the cliffs rose like jagged teeth on both sides. The wind whistled through the cracks, carrying voices that did not belong to humans. The ground was scattered with bones, some fresh, some turned to dust. The human tightened his grip on his weapon, his instincts sharp. The alien beauty's lips curved into a faint smile. "This place decides who can leave and who cannot," she whispered. Her words were not a warning, they were a test. From the shadows of the cliffs, figures began to emerge. They were not beasts, but warriors tall and armored, their skin marked with glowing patterns, their eyes locked on the human with hatred. These were not wild creatures, these were intelligent foes. Guardians of this land, they moved with purpose, forming a circle around him. The alien beauty stepped back, folding her arms. Her voice carried across the canyon like a song. "This is the trap, human. Let us see if you are strong enough to escape." The human's chest tightened, but he did not back away. He raised his weapon, his stance firm, his breath steady. The warriors charged with sharp blades that glowed with burning light. The first strike clashed against his weapon, sparks flying, pain shot through his arm. But he held firm, his strength fueled by sheer will. He ducked, rolled, and countered. Striking one warrior down, the others roared, their voices shaking the canyon walls. The fight became a storm of blades and fire. The human's body bled, his breath grew ragged, but his eyes never dimmed. He fought not only for his life, but for his pride, for his spirit. Every wound was a reminder of his survival. Every strike was a promise that he would not fall. The alien beauty's eyes followed every movement. Her cruel smile faded into something sharper, almost respect, almost disbelief at last. When the warriors closed in for the final strike, the human sprang his trap. Earlier, as they entered the canyon, he had noticed loose rocks above. With one blast from his weapon, he sent the cliff shaking. The ground rumbled, the stones fell, crashing onto the warriors, scattering them in chaos. The human used the moment to strike, driving his blade through the leader's chest. The canyon grew silent as the remaining warriors fled into the shadows. The human stood there, covered in blood and dust, his chest heaving. The alien beauty stepped forward slowly, her eyes locked on him. For the first time she did not laugh, instead she whispered, "You turned my trap into your victory." Her voice held no mockery, only quiet surprise. The human wiped the blood from his face, his expression hard. "You wanted me to fall, but I will not fall," he said, his voice strong despite his wounds. The alien beauty tilted her head, her dark eyes narrowing. "Perhaps I wanted you to rise," she replied. Her words carried mystery, leaving him unsure if she was lying or revealing a hidden truth. As they left the canyon, the silence between them was heavier than before. The human's mind burned with questions. Why had she placed him in so many dangers? Why had she mocked and tested him? Was it cruelty or was it something deeper? He could not yet know, but he felt a shift in the way she looked at him now. No longer as prey, no longer as a toy, but as something more. That night, they stopped near a pool of glowing water. The alien beauty stood beside it, her reflection shining like silver. The human sat nearby, his weapon across his lap, his body aching. He looked at her and spoke with quiet strength. "You can play your games. You can set your traps, but I will not break. I will not bow." Her eyes turned toward him, the faintest trace of a smile on her lips. "You remind me of fire," she whispered, "small, fragile, but dangerous when it refuses to die." For the first time, her words did not sting. They felt like something else, something closer to respect. The human held her gaze, and in that moment he understood. This was the turning point. The world had tried to crush him. She had tried to expose him, but instead, they had only built his spirit higher. He was no longer a lost survivor, no longer the subject of her cruel jokes. He was a fighter, a flame, and nothing on this alien world could take that away. The fire burned low that night, casting long shadows across the alien stones. The human sat in silence, his body scarred, his spirit unshaken. The alien beauty stood near the edge of the pool, the glowing water reflecting her silver skin. Her eyes were distant, staring into the depths as if the answers she sought were hidden below. For days she had mocked him, tested him, left him on the edge of death, and yet she never walked away, never abandoned him completely. The human's mind turned with questions he could no longer keep inside. At last he spoke, his voice calm but firm. "Why do you do this? Why guide me and betray me in the same breath?" The alien beauty turned slowly, her dark hair moving like liquid shadow. Her smile returned, but it was faint. Not cruel, not sharp. "Do you think I am only cruel? Human?" she asked softly. He held her gaze, his answer steady. "I think you are something more, but I do not know what." Her eyes narrowed, and for a long moment she said nothing. The wind moved through the valley, carrying whispers like broken songs. Then she stepped closer, her presence heavy yet graceful. "You are not the first human I have seen," she said. Her voice low, the human's heart pounded, surprise flashing across his face. "There were others before you, others who came with fire in their hearts," she continued. "They fell quickly, some begged, some fought, but all of them broke." The human felt his chest tighten. So he was not the first, but he was still alive where others had failed. The alien beauty's eyes glowed faintly as she spoke. "My people do not respect weakness, they do not respect mercy. They only respect strength." Her voice trembled slightly, though she masked it with a smile. "If I had helped you fully, if I had sheltered you, they would call me weak. They would destroy us both." The truth struck him harder than any blade. Her cruel jokes, her traps, her silence, they were not only games. They were shields, masks to hide her true choice. She had tested him, mocked him, but she had also pushed him to rise. The human stood slowly, his body aching, his voice steady. "So you wanted me to survive, but not for me, for them," he said. Her eyes flickered, half sorrow, half fire. "For both," she whispered. Silence stretched between them, filled with the weight of her confession. The human understood now. She was trapped in her own cruel game. To show kindness was to die. To protect him openly was to be destroyed by her own kind. So she had chosen cruelty as a mask, laughter as a weapon, but behind it, she had given him the only chance he could have, the chance to grow stronger, to prove himself worthy in the eyes of her people. The human's heart burned with mixed fire, anger that she had hidden the truth, respect that she had risked herself, and something else he did not yet want to name. He stepped closer, his voice low. "You could have told me." Her smile grew sharper again, covering the softness in her eyes. "And would you have believed me, human? Or would you have cursed me all the same?" He could not answer, because deep inside he knew she was right. Her methods were cruel, but without them, he might already be dead. The alien beauty turned away, her silver skin glowing in the firelight. "My people are watching, human. They watch from the shadows, from the winds, from the ground itself," she said. "They wait for you to fail, for me to fail. They wait for weakness." Her voice grew colder, harder. "If you wish to live, you must continue to rise, not for me, not for them, but for yourself." The human's fists clenched, his resolve sharper than ever. He had survived her tests. He had faced her cruel laughter. Now he understood the truth. Every trial had been a wall she built to keep him alive, even if it meant making him hate her. He looked at her with new eyes, seeing not only the beauty and cruelty, but the burden she carried. She was not only his tormentor, she was also his shield, though hidden behind mockery. That night, as the stars of the alien sky pulsed above, the human did not sleep. He sat awake, staring at the horizon, feeling the fire of his spirit grow. He knew now that the path ahead would be harder, that her people were real enemies. He also knew that her laughter, her cruel jokes, were no longer only pain, they were warnings. They were protection disguised. The alien beauty sat nearby, her eyes half closed, her face calm for the first time. Her silence felt less like a weapon and more like trust. When the morning came, the land seemed darker. The wind sharper, the human rose, his body scarred but steady. The alien beauty walked beside him, her smile faint, her eyes heavy with secrets. The truth between them was fragile, unspoken yet alive. He no longer saw her only as a tormentor, nor as a savior. She was both and perhaps more. And as they moved deeper into the alien world, the human felt a new fire burning inside him. Not just survival, not just defiance, but purpose. The truth behind her actions had changed him. Now he knew. He was not only fighting for himself, he was fighting for something greater. The alien world grew darker as the human and the alien beauty moved forward. The red sky burned with storm clouds. Lightning tearing across the horizon like cracks in glass. The air shook with distant roars, the ground trembled as if alive. It was clear the final trial was near. The human walked with steady steps, his body covered in scars, his spirit unbroken. Every wound, every cruel joke, every betrayal had only sharpened him. He no longer walked as a lost survivor, but as a fighter, a flame that refused to die. The alien beauty walked beside him, her face calm but her eyes restless. For the first time, he saw not only power in her gaze but worry. At last they reached a vast plain, stretching endless under the storm-filled sky. In the distance stood figures, tall and shadowed, their eyes glowing like fire. Her people, the true watchers, the judges of strength. The alien beauty stopped, her voice soft. "This is the place, human, where they will decide if you are worthy, or if you are nothing." The human nodded, his face steady, his heart beating like a war drum. The alien figures moved closer, their voices deep and cold. They spoke in their own tongue, but their meaning was clear. They saw the human as weak. As prey, as a joke, they demanded proof. They demanded blood. The alien beauty stepped forward, her tone sharp, her words fast. She defended him, but their laughter cut through her voice. They called her a fool, a traitor for standing with a fragile being. The human stepped past her, his voice rising strong. "I am no fool's toy, I am no fragile prey. I am human," he shouted. The storm above cracked with lightning, thunder rolling across the plain. The alien watchers hissed, their weapons drawn, their power burning in the air. The alien beauty looked at him, her lips parted, her eyes wide. She whispered, "Do not fight them, you cannot win." But he only shook his head, his eyes blazing. "I will not fight them with only weapons. I will fight them with what they do not understand." The first warrior charged, tall as a tower, skin glowing with fire. The human did not run, he did not bow, he dodged the strike, pain cutting into his arm, but he stood firm instead of killing. He threw his weapon aside, his voice louder than the storm. "You think strength is only in power, but strength is in choice, strength is in mercy," he cried. The watchers paused, confused. Their eyes narrowing, another warrior came, blades burning in his hands. The human could have struck him down, but he stopped. He caught the blade with bleeding palms, pushed the warrior back and let him live. The alien beauty gasped. Her silver eyes wide, the watchers growled, mocking but also uncertain. The human stood tall, his chest rising with fire. "You test me with death, but I answer with life. You mock me with cruelty, but I answer with spirit," he shouted. His voice echoed across the storm, cutting through the laughter. The alien beauty's heart trembled. Her cruel mask breaking, she had tested him, broken him, guided him, but never had she expected this. Never had she expected him to answer cruelty with mercy. Her people shifted uneasily, their glowing eyes flickering. For the first time, their certainty cracked. The human lifted his arms, his voice steady. "I am human. We are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most powerful, but we are the ones who stand. We are the ones who rise even when mocked. Even when broken, we are the ones who choose to fight. Not for cruelty, but for hope." The storm above roared, lightning striking the ground like 1,000 drums. The watchers fell silent, their laughter gone. They stared at him. At the fragile human who refused to bow, the alien beauty stepped closer, her eyes shining, her voice trembling. "You are mad," she whispered. But there was no cruelty in her tone. Only awe, only sorrow, only respect. The watchers turned away, their fire dimming. They had not accepted him, but neither had they destroyed him. They had seen something they could not understand, something they could not control, and for now that was enough. The human fell to his knees, blood dripping from his wounds, his breath ragged. The alien beauty knelt beside him, her hand resting on his shoulder. For the first time, her touch was not cruel, not mocking, it was gentle, almost human. Her voice was soft. "You were never supposed to survive. You were never supposed to rise. And yet you did," her eyes glistened, though no tears fell. "You answered my cruel joke with something greater, something even I did not expect." The human looked at her. His lips curved into a tired smile. "Maybe now you understand us," he whispered. She stared at him, silent, her silver eyes carrying emotions she had long hidden. Respect, sorrow, and something deeper, something unspoken. The storm began to fade, the red sky clearing. The human stood again, weak but unbroken. The alien beauty walked beside him, her cruel smile gone forever. Her silence was no longer sharp. It was heavy, meaningful. They both knew the truth. The cruel joke had ended, but the story of humanity had just begun,